All right, cool. Yo, what is up, everybody? We'll give a couple minutes for people to jump on. This is going to be really exciting, especially if you are into creative finance deals, creative finance structuring, getting more deals done. I will tell you, my guest right now, Rachelle, she makes me and my team better salespeople because she helps us structure something that essentially, even if we can't get the deal done, she helps us structure a deal that can get the deal done, both for the seller and for us. And so I'm really excited to have my ninja super expert, creative finance back end genius partner, if you will, Miss Rachelle. How are you, girl?
I'm doing great. I'm currently in Arizona, so happy to be with you guys today.
Yeah. So I want to make sure everyone knows you because you're going to be speaking, obviously, at the Wealth Accelerated event. If you are jumping on right now, as more and more people are jumping on, let Rachelle know your name, where you're at, like what city you are at, and how long you've been investing, whether you're a newbie wholesaling, whether you're trying to get more creative deals done. If you've ever structured a creative finance deal, I'd love for you to make a comment in the comments below so I can give you a shout out and Rachelle can know who we have here. But I just wanted to bring you on a little bit to help people understand that you can be a terrible salesperson, terrible,
Mm-hmm.
and nervous about sales, and having the knowledge that you have and the ability to structure deals creatively makes you get deals done regardless of how well you actually can sell, right? I mean, that's really
Right,
what can happen. It's just
right,
about structuring the deal.
right.
And so you have your own business, and I want everyone to know, the business that you run and how you help me with all the deals that you help with me, and how
Mm-hmm.
you even help my team like structure deals and try to
Yeah.
figure out how to get deals done. But yeah, give everyone a little heads up about, yourself and what you do for me and others and things like that.
Right. So, thanks for the introduction, Justin. Those of you, once again, my name is Rachelle Jarvis. Something that I want to start saying a little bit more is a lot of what people don't know me. A lot of people put me in the TC box, which I do own a transactional national company. But you guys, I'm an investor. I've been in the game for 15 years. I have my own buy and hold properties. I have my own second position notes. So, I think that's really, really important when you're learning from somebody is that they're actually applying it, right? So it's not that I've helped people close thousands of transactions. It's I'm an investor myself. So this is kind of where this company generated from called Constant Close was what do I need as an investor? Yes, it's important to have someone that can fill out your paperwork and for you to focus on your superpower and for you to be able to do what you're good at. But I wanted to level it up a little bit more and allow my TCs and bring in my sales background and say, well, let's help you structure these the right way. Because with creative, there's so many complex pieces to where how do you handle it if a seller is in probate and there's five heirs and needs to be reinstated, which means like a past due balance. So many pieces to where I've trained my team who all have a sales background to be able to come in and say, listen, this would add some more protection for the seller, the buyer. You actually need to word it this way. These are the disclosures that you need. So Constant Close is stepping to everybody. We love being, a part, Justin being one of our affiliates, but being able to serve you guys and knowing how to get it done the right way, right? Leveraging an expert in the industry to say, okay, you have the deal, you source the deal, this is how you structure it. Let us show you how to do the paperwork and let's close it out the right way. So I'm super excited about that. We're really focusing and hyper focusing on three things in 2022, and it's meeting the investors where they're at. We got the newbie investors that need a little bit more hand holding. And then we have someone that's a little bit more tenured, like you, Justin, that knows, hey, I don't have time to be in the transactions. I don't have time to be worrying about this. Let me hire an expert and let them work with my team and help close more deals. So that's kind of where we're going. And because we're national, it was kind of like a no-brainer, honestly, to where people are now asking us to disposition their deals. So we've added that service in 2022. So we're kind of like the full service, really heavy on the creative side, even though we can do wholesale deals. But we asked our client what they need. They told us, and that's what we're doing in 2022. So we're super, super excited about this year to be able to help investors nationwide.
I love it. And so one of the things that I think most people need to understand, there's some people that already sub 2 deals is here watching, looking for wholesalers, want to flip deals. I love it. Big shout
Yeah.
out to Louis, Shane, Mario, all those people. Most people think like, well, I need to be able to go get like a good deal. So I actually have my coaching students. Actually, one student asked me this week, what would be a good list to find good either sub 2 deals, creative finance deals? Because I know that most of them usually have a lot of, like you said, probate deal, for
Mm-hmm.
heirs. There's always some hair on them. But like if you had to
Right.
point someone in the right direction to say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
here's the list I would be marketing for to get creative deals, what would you suggest?
100% foreclosures. And here's a couple of reasons why. Foreclosures are sellers that are in need. They don't know their options. Why not talk to a seller that needs a solution, right? Instead of taking a wholesale deal and having to transition into creative and teach the seller, why not talk to a motivated seller? So if I had someone that was looking to find these deals, talk to people that are in need of solutions, talk to people that are motivated. There's a lot of foreclosures going on. We all know what happened with COVID and the forbearances and all these different things. So that would definitely be the list that I would say, go get that list, call on it, and help these sellers that really are in need of a solution. So that's what I would say. Definitely foreclosure list.
Yeah, I think that is great. I think there's another list that I've had success with, which is low equity. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people don't target low equity because they're like, well, there's not enough margin in there. Well, let me ask you, Rachelle, the
Hmm.
person who's done thousands of creative finance deals, what do you try to do every time you go into a creative finance deal? Because I know my answer. What do you, as an investor, what do you try to do every time you're talking to someone? You're like, "Ooh, I'm going to structure this." What's your intention there? Are you going to wholesale it, flip it, or keep it as a hold?
Well, to be completely honest with you, my intention is always to serve people
I love
and
that
to be
answer.
able
Yep.
to find the solution because and that's the intention that I serve with constant close and with me being an investor because I feel like the money follows when you
Yep.
actually want to serve people.
Agreed.
So obviously, I'm in the business to create wealth. I want to have buy and holds. I want to
Yeah.
be able to tell them and provide the solution. But let's be honest with you guys, learning and having a mentor that can teach you wholesale and creative and all these different things is so you can provide that service to so many different people. It's so I always have an intention. Yes, I want to take down your property. I want to add it to my portfolio. But the bottom line is, does that work for that seller? But knowing these things and hiring somebody and learning these things is so you can have different solutions. There's no seller fits in one box.
Totally.
That's just it. And why leave money on the table because you only know how to do it, one way? And this is the other thing is we have an intention of what we want to do, but you have to know how to serve these sellers. So that would be my answer. Yeah, for sure.
And I think anytime I'm coaching people on creative finance, and obviously close friends of both of us, Mr. Pace Morby has done a brilliant job.
Amazing.
And actually,
Yeah.
he's also speaking at our event. And so that will be really great to have you being able to speak and him being able to speak. Him and
Yep.
Jamil, of course, come as a tandem, right? So
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
they're doing like a whole 2 hour show at the event,
Love it.
which will be super great because the reality
Yeah.
is, I think you and I both talked about this event. You're speaking at the event. This is where the event is, guys. WealthAcceleratorEvent.com. And I'll leave this up to you. It's $97, and you'll have access to someone like Rachelle, who's done thousands and thousands and thousands of creative finance deals. This is who I go to. Just so everyone's clear, she's the one I go to when I have creative finance deals that I'm like, we got to get this one done. Here's the scenario. What do we do? And she's my guru, if you will, right? And so I just want you to know who we're talking to. This is like the queen of creative finance, and I love that. And so I want you guys all to meet her. Make sure you're live. It's $97 to be in Scottsdale, March 11th through the 13th. That being said, I always want to look at the deal in a way to help someone. But for me, what I love is the ability to build wealth through creative financing. This is all about wealth
Mhm.
building. So the event really is about do the transactions because you need to keep the transactions going. You need to make money. End of story. So
Right.
the thing that I told you when we first met each other years ago was like, my mistake is I wholesaled every creative finance deal I've ever done. I
Yep.
structured them, I wholesaled them off, and I made my wholesale fee. I made 5 grand, 10 grand, 15, 20, whatever it was. Even as recently as last year, I found myself wholesaling a deal primarily because it was a deal I just necessarily didn't want to keep. But the reality is, based around your level of experience, you can have zero experience, zero marketing budget essentially, and be able to structure deals that most, if not like 99% of wholesalers won't know how to structure a deal the way Rachelle would be able to help you structure. And you don't even need a big fat wholesale spread in there because you're going to be able to create wealth. You're going to be able to create a margin between the mortgage that is owed versus what you can actually get if you actually keep it as a rental.
Right.
This is the wealth play. Our boy Pace Morby has like almost 400 rentals based around this one play, guys. This
Yeah.
one play of creative finance deals. Now, here's
Yeah.
what I'll tell you, and I know, Rachelle, I want you to speak to this. Not every deal, you already said it, but not every deal fits in a box, right? To your point, Rachelle, you need to listen to the homeowner, right? And based around what the homeowner is saying, their needs, their situation, you need to handcraft that, right? And now the question I'll ask you is, sub two, again, our boy Pace has done a brilliant job being able to enlighten people of that. But almost all of these creative finance deals has a sub two part of it, meaning that the loan will stay in place. Most of them will have that. But it doesn't mean it ends there, right? What would you say is probably one of the more stereotypical, not the right word, but the more common creative finance deal that happens that you've seen? Just if you've seen a lot, what would be one of the most common ways to structure it, right? That you've seen the most of?
I would have to say the hybrid way. And hybrid is basically going to be the subject to um, and tapping into somebody's equity, right? A lot of people don't realize. So here's what we do with wholesale, right? We want to buy it anywhere from 65 to 75%, right? ARV. Now you're
Yep.
talking to somebody that um, might not owe a lot left, right? Meaning like their balance is a little bit low. They're not going to give it to you that deep. That's not going to happen. And you can tap into their equity and be able to on the seller finance piece is more importantly of like, what are you making on the cash flow versus the purchase price, right? We can push these up and give people more ARV retail price by providing them that solution. So I would say hybrids are very popular right now. And they're saying,
Yeah.
wait, we can offer ARV. These wholesalers like, we can actually do this and create cash flow.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do this. And then another one is novations.
Yeah.
I just every single day I'm having these conversations with people. I had one today from a guy from Northern California. And he goes, Rachelle, if I had to take this multi-million-dollar property down, he goes, I wouldn't be able to do that. But if I could keep it in the seller's name, do the rehab through one escrow, and then be able to have a retail buyer fund it on the back end. It's the power of creative finance. And that's what
That's
you're
it.
speaking to, Justin.
Yeah.
It's that being able to be knowledgeable to the bottom line, providing the solution to the seller. But it's the power that opens up these doors to be able to create wealth for the investor. And that's what we're all trying to do, build a legacy, build wealth. So with the hybrid deal, the novation deal, this is what I'm seeing every single day. And these wholesalers are getting excited, like, Rachelle, now I can do this, now I can offer, now I don't have to pass this off, right? And so building capital is one thing, and that's a great place to start. But let's start, implying these wealth building strategies of making this cash flow pay for our assets, being able to buy our time back. So I could go on and on about this, but it's just amazing that the doors that it opens with creative finance. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no wrong answer. And I tell my students this every day is
Right.
like, when you have that deal, there's not a wrong answer to how that gets structured. I mean,
Nope.
literally, there's not a wrong answer. It just has to be documented about how it's getting structured. There's nothing. So again, for a newbie who maybe somewhere, because I don't even subscribe to this, but maybe someone has taught them you do 70% of ARV minus rehab minus your wholesale fee, and that's your offer price. And then you're offering $75,000 and the seller wants 200,000.
Yep.
Where you're not even going to get close.
Nope.
But if you can think creatively and say, okay, what does this rent for in general? Could this even be a great Airbnb play depending upon the location? What do
Absolutely.
they owe? How can I
Yep.
make this a profit center, right? And if you can think that way, and there's no wrong answer, then you might be able to come up with a great, like, what if this rents for $2,500 a month, for example? What if?
Exactly.
That is
Exactly.
a great rental opportunity that someone might be in need. They will not take your $75,000 because they owe 160 on it,
Yep.
right? There's not as much equity as you'd like in a wholesale deal, but if you can actually structure this, by the way, for all of you that need transactional money, which you need to keep your eye on, I'm not saying you need to all go into building rentals. I'm not saying that initially, but you
Right.
need to do this incrementally. And here's what I mean by that. And I know, Rachelle, you're going to agree. If you can wholesale one and make 5 or 10 grand, put that cash in your pocket to pay your bills, and you can keep one, that is like the
Yep.
golden child of all golden childs, right? You
So
are
true.
building
Yeah.
wealth and creating what I call cash flow because your business needs cash flow,
Yep.
right? You need to think transactionally still because I had
Yeah.
made the big mistake. I went live yesterday with Nick Perry. My big mistake years ago was like I took my eye off the cash flow of the business, wholesaling and flipping, and I went in this development. Well, guess what
Yeah.
happens when you take your eye off what actually is making you money? You stop making money. Like
Yep.
I was like
Yep.
going broke. I was like, wait
Yeah.
a minute, what's happening here? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I stopped making money, right?
Yep.
And if you guys can target individuals in need and maybe even not in need, I tell you, Rochelle, you've probably done thousands more than I have on this. Some of the best creative finance deals I've ever done, they actually own the home free and clear.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's so great is literally most of those people are like, I kind of want to sell. I don't need to sell. The tenant just moved
Right.
out. Okay, great. Well, what do you want? Oh, you want 200 grand. Oh, my cash offer is going to be 120. Well,
Yep.
maybe I can get you 200 grand. Right. And then
Solid
they
finance.
become the bank.
Yep. It's very simple. And they have no idea about it, which is so crazy. And a lot of these people are thinking, oh my gosh, I have to pay capital gains. So I'm going to sell this, and then realtor fees. This is, you guys, this is not the nature of their business. They have no idea. And
Yep.
your job is to come as the expert in the industry and say, listen, I can actually help you avoid those capital gains. You're in retirement. We all know nobody can live off of Social Security. Provide them that cash flow, let them know what's their assurance, how do they know their payments are going to be made, all of these different things that maybe they weren't thinking that was a solution, but you guys being empowered by knowing creative finance, you can provide that to people, get what you want, and serve people. I
That's
mean,
right.
win-win,
100%. And
Yeah.
so, this is again up to everybody out there that you need to do one thing first is that's get in front of sellers, right?
Yeah.
So create the marketing channel. I don't care if it's driving for dollars, PPC, text messaging, cold calling. What I like what Rochelle said, and then we even had a question about it. Where do you get these foreclosure lists from? What's up,
Hmm.
Isaiah? And yes, I use PropStream.
Hmm.
If you have batch leads, you can pull it from batch leads as well. It's kind of, the foreclosure list is a nationally produced list, right? So everyone
Right.
has access to the foreclosure list. I use PropStream. That's my favorite source. Um, Louise says PropStream. Absolutely.
Hmm.
And then I have a question from Bob saying, do you use land trust, Rochelle?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done tons of land trust. There's a lot of different ways to do things. And this actually, um, yeah, this is something we could probably dive deep in, but that's very popular, especially on the East Coast of the country to be using land trust all the time. You'll find that
Mm,
very, very common. So yes, we do land trust all day long.
I love it.
Yeah.
Bob has a follow-up questions. How long have you been investing? Thousands of creative transactions.
Hmm.
Give them maybe a little your background again between investor slash your
Yeah.
TC business.
You guys, I've been doing this for 15 years. I started off actually in the finance and the mutual fund background. I worked for Vanguard as a relationship manager, got my 7, my 6, my 63, and then I wanted to buy my time back and I got into the retail side and did everything that I could. And then I jumped into the investor side, being in that environment of knowing that that was the way that I was going to create wealth and thinking, oh my gosh, you could buy a house for cash and not have to do your spuds and your binzer and all these different things. And I started investing like that, And then once I got into this creative world, I mean, it was just a game changer. I mean, I just moved to California. I live in Oceanside and I took my house down sub two. And this was a
Let's
guy.
go.
Yeah, this was a guy that was literally had a lot of money in his house, had paid it off, was an engineer. He's working on Coronado Island, had no idea. And he told me this in the conversation. Rachelle, my biggest thing is I have 2 kids that are going to college, and that's what I want to pay for, but I don't want to do capital gains. So how did I take down his house? Hybrid. He's getting the cash flow. He's contributing all of his cash flow to paying for someone's college, which actually kind of makes me feel really good, right? About doing that.
For
And then
sure.
taking over her loan, the loan sub too. There's no way I could have done something like that.
That's right.
And living in a beautiful place like I am, and it was the power of creative finance. So I've implemented it not in just thousands of transactions. I really have. I've done in every state throughout the nation, but I'm practicing it in my own life, and it's yeah, it's been amazing. So 15 years, guys. It's been a long time. It's been a long time coming. So
Shane, my man just got a virtual ticket. Again, guys, if you have not
nice.
yet,
Yeah.
go to this website right here. Get your virtual ticket is $47. You're insane if you're not going to
Yep.
listen to Rachelle, myself, Pace, Kent,
Hey.
Nick,
Yeah.
Jamil, Cody Sperber. I mean, the list is insanity. If you guys are
Yep.
literally not buying at minimum a virtual ticket, what I would actually really encourage you for $97, come meet Rachelle. Come sit down with her. Spend time with her. Listen to
Love it.
her. You guys will be able to structure your first creative finance deal if you are actually physically at the event.
Yep.
It's $97, March 11th through the 13th. Go to this website. I just wanted to give that as a shout out because my man just pulled the trigger. So that is fantastic. At
Amazing.
minimum, you guys should be there virtually. At a very minimum is $47 to hear these amazing speakers. So Shane, happy for you, my brother. Appreciate you. Again, I'll give you a big shout out. I got another shout out for you. Junior says it was great to meet you at the Milwaukee event.
Nice.
So that is great.
Yeah.
And then I have a question here. How do you offer assurances when you are just starting out? What if you rent out the property and the tenant stops paying?
So you guys, this is something that I feel like I come in with my expertise. So you know how to close a deal, right? You know how to sell it. Now, these are the conversations that I'm having with the seller every single day. So how do you offer that insurance if the tenant stops paying? So there's a lot of different assurances that you can put in your contract. Now it says, let's talk about this since we're talking about creative finance. You know, if you buy your home on seller finance, or if you have someone making payments to you of that sort, there's a lot of things that you can put into play, like a deed in lieu of foreclosure, like a performance deed, things of that sort. When a tenant stops paying, if you're talking about a lease, I mean, it is what it is. There's assurances you can put into your lease agreement. But in regards to like creative finance, there's a lot of different things that we can do and take it even a step forward. A lot of people preach and talk about deed in lieu and performance deeds, and they say, oh, it just goes right back into the seller's name. Well, no, there's actually a process. There's actually costs incurred. There's a lot of different things that a lot of people are not going into the weeds with you guys. So the most important thing is that you know how the process is going to go, but you put those assurances into your contract. And that means making them sign it, making it transparent, saying this is what happens, this is how this process works. So on the creative side, you could do a deed in lieu of performance deed. Different states use different one. On the tenant side, if you have a lease, then you're going to need to put that into your lease. So that's kind of been around for a long time in regards to just regular tenants and lease. Unfortunately, as landlords, this is something that we have to deal
I
with.
was just
But
gonna
the,
say, like, even if you just owned a home and it's not
yeah,
creative and you're a landlord, like if a tenant stops paying, a tenant stops paying. There's no like,
yeah,
you're not gonna make an insurance to the homeowner based around that.
yeah,
You now have to either make a decision, right, about
yep,
taking up that mortgage payment yourself because your tenant's in there.
yep,
Those are decisions you would have to make, even if you just owned it, right? So,
yep, yep,
but great question.
yep.
But it's more of the tenant question. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Will. He's a year in the game. Will, I have a question for you if you're still around. Have you gotten your first creative finance deal yet done? That
Yeah,
is what I'd like to hear. I'd like to
yeah,
see if you haven't. If you haven't, you know where to be March 11th through the 13th. You need to be at the Wealth Accelerator event because literally you can get your first deal probably while at the event. If you guys have a database, I would
yep.
encourage you to be there and pull up a lead that maybe even Rachelle would be able to like, here's how I'd structure that offer, right?
Would love
And
that.
I'll
Amazing.
walk you through it, right? I've done several hundred creative finance deals. I'll walk you through it. The reality is this is how you can start to build wealth. You have the transactional component. You also layer on, this ability to keep it as a rental, or if you're Rachelle, you buy a home like this. Let's go. I mean, come on.
Why not?
Jay Biz, one of my favorite people on the planet. You know him from some of our coaching, but
Yeah.
He's basically saying, how does Justin do it? It's not the how, it's the who. He does it through Rachelle. So he's giving you a shout out there too.
I love that. Thank you.
And then Sandra saying, what is the link for virtual tickets? Sandra, it's the same link for virtual and live, wealthacceleratorevent.com. Again, I have a plethora of the best of the business, right? Rachelle
Oh my
is
gosh.
one, Nick Perry, Cody Sperber, Ken Clothier, Pace Morby, Jamil Damji, you name it, right? Brett Tanner, Greg Herline, Chris Noggle. It is literally the people that I surround myself with. What I'm trying to do is help others understand the resources I have so you
Right.
can also have those same resources, right? I'm
Absolutely.
trying to share because what I think in our industry is people try to hoard me, 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 me. I can't let anyone know. I can't let anyone know. BS, right? I want to
Right.
give, I want to make impact. And through that impact, I'll make income. And that is the idea. If I can help you become rich, I will become rich, right? And so these people are my resource. These are the people I
Yeah.
tap on, right? Just to be able to provide. And so in the creative finance deal world, she is my guru. She's who I go to. If you know my team, Anthony calls her, Casey calls her, hey, we got to do this deal,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I
Love
just
that.
really want to say thank you for showing up today. I know you have a lot
Of
on
course.
your plate right now. I would highly, highly, highly encourage each and every one of you be physically in that room. It's
Yep.
$97. I am losing money to put this event on. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
But I'm sharing my resources. I'm giving to you what I have access to. And proximity is power, as my boy Kent would say, right? And so
Yeah.
thank you, girl. I really appreciate it. Any
Love it.
last words of wisdom before you rock the house March 11th?
You guys go buy that ticket. Don't even think about it. I'm listening. You guys, I wish I had access to something like this. I was talking about this with my boy Templeton Walker yesterday and seeing all these youngins coming around, whether you're young or old. You guys, you have to invest in yourself. And we're saying $97.
Bro,
Nuts.
crazy.
Crazy. And if you're not, no, let me tell you something. If you're not, then you really are crazy because this is the best of the best. You need to invest in yourself. Oh my goodness, I'm super excited. Thank you for having me in this room. Some of my
Yeah.
mentors are going to be in this room. And so I am so happy to be there. I want to meet you guys. Please come in person. But let's do it. I'm excited. March 11th. I'm so
Super
excited.
excited. Super excited
Yeah.
to have you. I know you got to run. Thank you so much for blessing everybody with your insight. And she is going to be rocking the house March
Yep.
11th through the 13th. So
Yep.
appreciate you. And we will see you guys mañana.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Later.